In 1987, I was a stockbroker at Shearson and I started studying currencies. And what I saw was a pattern, a currency life cycle pattern. So if you stop and think about it, everything has a life cycle. I guarantee you I'm at a different point at my life cycle at 67 than my granddaughter that's 6. And currencies are no different. So the reason why it's critically important to hold real physical gold in your possession and silver as well is because we are now at the end of this fiat money, government-based, debt-based money. We're at the end of the system. And the way that you as an individual know that, because Wall Street's not going to tell you that, but the way that you know that are 2 key pieces, and they're simple pieces. One of my favorite websites is the FRED, F-R-E-D, which is the Federal Reserve Education Department. And if you go in, and we're happy to give you the link too, but if you go into the FRED and you put in purchasing power of the consumer dollar, what you see is out of the original dollar's worth of purchasing power, officially there's 3 cents left. But what you also know, and what everybody's experiencing, is the rapid inflation. Now, they can say that it's 8.5%, but when you go to the grocery store, that's a lot more. And you know, since you're all in real estate investing in apartments, you know that the rents are going up more than 8.5%. And, the next thing that may be going up, and you might know this, well, you would know this better than me, are property taxes. So there are different risks when you invest in real estate that you need to cover. And frankly, the best way to cover it is gold. Because what gold does, and I've done lots of studies on this, real estate runs some risk. If you have debt on it, right, then you've got to be able to pay that mortgage. And anybody that's in real estate has recently experienced the rent moratoriums, the mortgage moratoriums. And these are the kinds of things that happen when we go into the area like we are definitely entering right now. They will put caps on what you can charge, but there won't be any caps on your property taxes, on your insurance, on your maintenance. No caps on those, but caps on what you can charge. So what gold as a diversifier does, because this is good money, and the dollars in this country anyway, but the government money is based on debt, and debt is at nosebleed levels. We know that. And interest rates are rising. So you need the gold to ensure that you can always pay your property taxes, that if there is a loss of income, the strategy is gold will recoup that for you. So if you lose it over here because you have caps or people stop paying, you still need the income to cover all of the expenses that it takes when you have a real estate investment. And also for when we go into these periods, like we saw in 2008, that wasn't that long ago, right? And if you got into trouble and you couldn't handle your mortgage, you couldn't continue it for any reason, then they restructured, they reset that mortgage. And if you were part of that, I'm pretty sure you realized that it wasn't really in your best interest. It was in the bank's best interest. So you want to have the ability to, boom, pay that mortgage off in a moment's notice if you need to do so. And that's why it's critically important that you have gold, particularly in your portfolio, to make sure that you are properly diversified. Because if all you hold are dollars, they're destroying the value of the dollar.
So how do you actually vet the proper, what do you even call yourself, like the metal traders or what? How do you vet that? How do you just get started?
Well, we are a full service physical gold and silver dealer. And I will say, number one, that's the only way to buy it. is
Mm-hmm.
physically and in your possession, because the reality is, whether you perceive it that way or not doesn't matter.
Yeah.
But if you don't hold it, you don't own it. And so I believe very, very strongly that you take possession. There are roughly probably about 3,000 gold and silver dealers out there. And it's you don't really require too many licenses or anything.
Mm-hmm.
So somebody might be selling shoes last week, and this week they're selling gold. So something that's really important is, and you have to do your due diligence.
Mm-hmm.
How long have they been around? How much experience did they have? And I will tell you that what makes us different, I started at ITM in 2002. And truthfully, it's kind of, I don't want to insult anybody, but it's kind of a good old boy industry. But
Mm-hmm.
I came from I was a stockbroker and I was a banker. So that was my area that I was used to working in. And when I came into ITM trading, fortunately, they weren't afraid of what I brought to the table.
Mm-hmm.
And so everything that we do, again, I don't want you to take my word for it. You need to find a broker that actually will spend the time with you to help you not just understand how to do it, because that's actually pretty easy. You go in and you buy a coin, or you buy a sterling silver chopstick, which is what this is, or something like that, because both gold and silver, in whatever form, is still monetary at its base.
Mm-hmm.
But you want to make sure that you're dealing with somebody that has a lot of integrity. We've been around since '95. You can check in the Better Business Bureau is good. Reviews are good. I'm not saying everybody is 100%, but we always do try, and we try our best. And what makes us different, and this is really, it's not just how do you buy it, it's like how do you utilize it,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah.
Because if you're sitting on gold and silver, but you don't know how to, when or how it's time to convert it into the current monetary system to pay your taxes or to pay off the mortgage or whatever you
Right.
need to do with it. And so that's actually what we do really different than anybody else, because nobody else that I know of, there are certainly people out there, but not in this industry, has actually studied currencies and currency life cycles.
Mm-hmm.
So before I came to ITM, I had created a strategy for myself based upon repeatable patterns,
Mm-hmm.
because we've got over 4,800 times that currencies have gone away.
Mm-hmm.
And when something happens the same way every time, and we're doing the same thing, I don't know, maybe this time will be different, but it probably won't be.
Yeah.
The best
Yeah.
shot is that it's going to be the same.
Yeah.
So it's actually pretty easy. What we do is we create a strategy, and if you're working with ITM, your strategy foundation is exactly the same as mine, but then it's tweaked because you're at a different stage in your life. You have different goals maybe than I have, different circumstances, different things to work with. So it's really, really customized, the strategy, and then it's really a lifetime relationship.
Yeah.
So, you watch the videos, when it's time to do this, you'll know when it's time to do that, etc.
Yeah.
And right now, without a doubt, it is time to get yourself as independent and self-sufficient as possible. So food, water, energy, security, barterability, wealth preservation, community, which is what we're doing, and shelter. Because these are the things that we need, no matter what's happening in the economy, to have a reasonable standard of living. And these are all the things that the strategy encompasses.